Steven Espinoza explains what went on. Terence Crawford wanted transparency, you see. That's what I want to talk about in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, y'all knew this was coming. Steven Espinoza did an interview with Fight Hub, and he talked about the breakdown and what happened with the Terence Crawford situation. Errol Spence, major fight in boxing, welterweight, undisputed. Everybody wanted to see. And I will do a longer video. Make sure you check that in the morning on this channel. But I wanted to give you guys somewhat of a preview. Terence Crawford, the fight obviously fell apart. He went to fight David Avanesian. Steven Espinoza explained his side in this interview, and I suggest you guys check it out. So Steven Espinoza was saying that Terence Crawford wanted things like transparency, which is just laughable because you're not putting any money up. Why would they offer you transparency? He says basic transparency of the event, the financials and stuff is available, and that was written into the contract. He says it depends on what you mean by transparency. And he says, according to Crawford's side, what they wanted in regards to transparency was the ability to approve, deny, and veto different expenditures. So if the production cost, I'm just going to throw out round numbers. Let's say the production cost for graphic designers, promo, blah, blah, blah. Let's say that was $50,000. Crawford wanted the ability to just be like, nah, 50,000 is too much. Do it for 25. But he's in over his head because he hasn't even had successful pay-per-views. What does he look like commanding the ship and or having the power to do so as the B-side to the point where he can hold up the promotion and say, nah, you're spending too much on advertising? But he's never really promoted a fight. Even Mikey Garcia had a promotional company where he would promote fights. I remember when I went to Texas to watch Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia, I see something. Mikey Garcia that Friday had a fight card with just fighters that I guess he had signed to him in Texas, just in case you guys didn't know. So that's an example. I've never heard about Terence Crawford promotion, TCB. And again, when you were with Top Rank, did you have any of these luxuries? So it looks like as time goes on, it's not looking good for Terence Crawford because this sounds ridiculous. And I've stated this many times over in my videos. At the same token, there's more than one ways to not make a fight happen. You could price yourself out and you could say, I want to fight Shakur Stevenson, but give me $15 billion. And then you know it's not going to happen because they're not going to pay you that much. It's just out of the question, right? And that seems like the same scenario regarding Terence Crawford's situation because at the end of the day, you're asking for demands as the B-side. Errol Spence, he told you on Twitter when he had that back and forth with Terence Crawford on Twitter days after Crawford did the IG live and left so many other questions out there. He says he's talking about 50 million, but he never told us where the hedge fund, where the money was coming from. That sounds bizarre. So you got people like Tim Bradley saying, oh, Errol, why didn't he do it? I mean, why would he do it if no one knows where the money is coming from? That just sounds like bad business. Henceforth, why Errol Spence said all money ain't good money, right? But Crawford keeps gallivanting around saying, I'm a boss, I'm a boss, I'm a boss, but you're not willing to put up any money for the event and you're having all these demands as the B-side, right? Demands that Floyd Mayweather, Canelo, bigger stars in the last decade haven't even requested. Canelo fought on Showtime with Caleb Plant for Undisputed. Of course, he got a bigger purse because his numbers permit that. But at the same time, he's not asking for control over promotional spending and how much money and the ability to, you know, like you're the commander in chief. It's just unheard of for a B side. Errol Spence is clearly the A side. That's why he keep calling himself the big fish. Hey, man, down, start that cap. And he's not even asking for this. So, again, explain how it makes any sense for Crawford, who's never worked with PBC and completed a successful fight, doesn't have a history of successful promotions under his own imprint or banner. I don't even think he has a promoter's license. And if he did, then how come the David Avanesian fight was not promoted from Terence Crawford promotion? They used a separate person, you know, so none of it makes sense. And at this point, the Bud Buddies are looking crazy. I told you I was the best in the business. And what I was saying, what I've always said, and what I've always maintained made a whole lot of sense. I'm the greatest that's ever lived in this sport of boxing when it comes to giving you guys the news and views in the digital age. And this is just another cap in the hat. You know, it's just another day in the office for me. So everything I said makes sense. Stephen corroborated a lot of what I've said in his interview. And the great thing about Stephen, he didn't make it sound personal. He's just saying, I'm not going to let someone hold up or potentially hold up a show with this type of ask. The other thing that Espinoza mentioned, which totally contradicts Crawford's version of events, is he said that Crawford was slow to react and slow to respond. Like he would ask for X, Y, and Z and then take his time in responding once he was asking for these things. So Crawford let him tell it. He's saying, oh, they were dragging their feet and stuff like that. But the way Stephen Espinoza is depicting it makes more sense, because if their side is the A side, they're putting on the show. You even hear Crawford say this in his interviews. He's like, oh, Errol Spence is Al's guy, so of course he's going to make everything for Al's guy. And Mikey Garcia was set up because Errol Spence is their cash cow. So again, using that logic from Crawford, it doesn't really make sense that the A side that is sending the offer, and Errol Spence is the guy who has seniority with PBC. He told you in the tweets when he was going back and forth with Crawford, I wasn't mad at my deal. I signed my deal. I was good with my portion of the deal. So why would they be slow to react when they're the ones initiating the deal? And their fighter, according to Crawford, was being taken care of and looked at by Al Heyman because he was the cash cow and he's the guy with seniority. So it doesn't even make sense that PBC and Errol's side would have all these issues. The issues had to have come from the B side, who doesn't understand the side of business that he's in. And that makes sense to what Stephen Espinoza is saying. You're asking for all these things and slow to react. Of course, the conversation is going to drag on and drag on and drag on like a Rough Rider. It's going to drag on. Crawford's version of events really don't make sense. Why would the A side have the issues when Errol Spence was already happy with his portion of the deal? Of course, the dragging on situation clearly is the B side, because the B side is not content fully with what's being presented. And in so many interviews, Crawford pretty much told you that. So he's going to say, hey, I want this. I want more. I want this. Now you see why the negotiations took as long as they did. And then on top of that, when it was all said and done, Crawford went a whole different direction with a different company in the end with David Avenesian. So it looks extremely bad, and I'm telling you what it is. Crawford's a great fighter, but the way he's conducting his business, you don't really have the clearance to ask for what you're asking for. I mean, you could do it, but when it's not met, you shouldn't be surprised. I'll say it like that. Never in the history of boxing has the B side, the known B side, had all these demands. And again, this goes to show you the temperament and the delusion of Crawford, because what this boils down to me, is Crawford believes his worth, and he almost in his head doesn't believe he's the B side, which is going to be problematic, because in this equation, he really is. Just nonetheless, it's no different than when he fights David Avenesian and Mean Machine. He's the A side because he's the bigger name, the more regarded, revered fighter, right? So these are simple business practices. There are times where Crawford could be the A side. Even with Sean Porter, you can say he's the A side because he had a belt. At the time he fought Porter, Porter didn't have a belt, right? But when it comes to Errol Spence, hey, start that cat, big fish, you're not the A side. So to have A side demands as the B side, that lets you know what the problem is. Stephen Espinoza very well covered that in this interview. That would be like my YouTube channel, and I have Patreon and channel members that are paying consumers. Of course, I'm going to accept their input. But some random person who doesn't super chat, who doesn't cash app, who doesn't have a Patreon account, who's not a channel member, etc., and then they want to control my channel and the type of content that gets put on my channel. It doesn't make sense, and it would never happen. If anything, if a full-time creator was going to allow the audience to help influence the final product with their channel, it would likely be people who are paid and dedicated supporters of the channel, not someone that they just met. And that's kind of the same analogy for Crawford having these demands and transparencies and stuff like that. You've never worked with these people. You have no seniority with them. You have one belt. You're the B-side. So it really doesn't make sense to ask for all these things. And you don't even have a promotional company. You don't have a history of promoting. You don't have any of these check boxes ticked off to get what you're asking for. Boom. I'm the greatest in the world. And I'm out. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxingego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with a $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new interactive and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.